The sound of 10-year-old Ohana Salse's shiny violin fills the air in the one-bedroom Colchester apartment she shares with her mom, Madeline, and her baby brother and sister.
I have a place to stay. I can tell my friends that I have a house. I can say home.
But getting a permanent place to stay hasn't been easy for the once homeless family. The Salses were just one of 83 homeless families in Chittenden County, a number that's doubled since 2008 and has remained flat for the last year. They spent the last 6 months in the Champlain Family Shelter in Burlington before landing their own place just a few weeks ago.
I didn't want to tell anybody until, I signed the lease or I signed some paper. But then I did, and I told all the staff.
Madeline was able to make the move with her kids thanks to a Section 8 housing voucher and months of financial planning with shelter staff.
Oh, I can use the whole area. I can use the whole area for me and my kids' stuff, and they can open it.
The walls in their apartment are still mostly bare, and the kitchen table is not quite in the budget just yet.
I really appreciate having a ceiling over my head, and I can yell or, call these guys, and it won't bother anybody.
Madeline's a really exceptional person. I'm really proud of the progress she's made.
The team at the Committee on Temporary Shelter has been working with the young mom to help her get and keep housing since she was jumping between her church and loved ones' couches last summer. Sarah Chesborough is her case manager.
What are her biggest challenges?
I think right now her challenge is going to be budgeting, just to make sure that she can maintain her monthly payments, her rent and her utilities. So that's where I come in, to check in with her monthly to make sure that her expenses aren't out of control. She's keeping her income up, to a relatively good level.
Weekly meetings between the two women helped Madeline find an apartment and save money. Two of the biggest challenges for many of Vermont's more than 2,400 homeless. 45% of folks who turn to COTS for help are doing so because they've lost their jobs or have seen cuts in their hours.
She thinks she didn't, she wasn't helpful. She's like, oh, you did it all yourself. I was like, I know I did it. I did it, but I did it because I know that resource, that she was right there.
But now those meetings aren't quite as frequent.
I don't need her in my office every week at this point. I think she's sufficient, she's really stable.
The sun is up, and so am I.
For Madeline, keeping things stable means sticking to their plan.
I wake up at 6 and, wake her up and get these guys ready, get the lunch ready.
Then it's off to a full day's work here at McDonald's while her kids are at school.
When I get off work, I go pick them up and then come here and cook and get them ready for bed and do it again.
With the families that you see, what are the biggest factors that are driving them back into a shelter situation?
So a lot of times, you hear the kind of the stereotype that, you're one paycheck away from homelessness. And a lot of the families that we work with now actually are.
Do you ever fear being back in that kind of environment?
I do. And I don't want to go back.
While COTS couldn't share stats on the number of families who returned to being homeless, Chesborough stresses the better the plan, the better the chance a family will make it.
Is there a point in the work that you do where you can say, this has been a success? Can we say we're a success 2 weeks out or 2 months out?
That's a really good question. I think we need some time. I mean, I'm confident that Madeline will be successful just because of her personality and her skill set. But I think, for us, a year of being housed we can tentatively say, well, that's a success.
The Salses still have 11 months to go before they reach that milestone.
Being at the shelter, it was rough, but I dealt with it, and I know what I had to do, and they gave me goals, I did them, and I'm happy to have my own place.
As is Ohana, who no longer has to keep the music down after dinner and is eager to have her friends sleep over.
At the shelter, no one could come in, not even the mailman. So I'm happy about it that I can bring friends in here and I can let people in that I couldn't let in before that when I was in the shelter.
Some of Mom's biggest backers are hoping she'll have a little fun too.
I want her to just relax and enjoy, sitting in her chair and making her own dinner and all the things that, you know, we that are housed might take for granted.
As for taking things for granted, Madeline says her home won't be one of them. She has too much riding on her newfound success.
I try to make it comfortable for them, you know, everyday life. I do, and they're beautiful kids.
Kids with a place they can now call their own.